You know,
Yep.
that's so interesting. You say that because, and I'm curious about this. Granted, I'm sure because of maybe people saw the life you were living by playing basketball or going to a certain school,
Right.
they might have thought, okay, well, she's well off anyway. So when you were building Beach Eats and you were trying to build your own thing, were there people who kind of looked at you with like, oh, why are you even doing this? Why you need to do this?
Yeah, I had one guy share a commercial that I made on Facebook and say, "When you're born rich." And
Wow.
that hit a little different. So I actually have a wall in my house that has every terrible thing that anyone has ever said about me or my business in the past like 4 years
Mm.
on the wall. So when I walk by, people are like, "Oh, why would you have such negativity?" And I'm like, it's not negativity
That's
to me.
instant fuel.
That's instant fuel. Like, I don't feel like jumping 2,000 jump ropes today, but I'm going to do it because there's people out there that want me to be fat or want me to fall off or want me to like fail. Like, it could be anything. It's just like there's so much pressure that people put on, people to be perfect. And, in that situation, once I saw that, I'm like, I realized that a lot more hate was probably coming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to self reflect and get some thicker skin because I am a very sensitive person. I learned a lot about myself throughout this whole entrepreneurship process. And I realized, like, damn, like, I have a lot of things I need to work on because, somebody saying something like that should never break me down for 2 days. Like,
Mm.
they don't necessarily understand everything. And I'm not here to explain that to them. That's not my place.
Right.
So that strength and what you're referencing like really does come from like this whole process. Like you really grow into such a well-rounded person because in business you're going to deal with people that, hate everything, love everything or, admire you. Like there's just always different situations that you're going to be put in and you have to be able to adapt. You can't cry in front of someone or you can't just allow someone to speak to you a certain way. It's just something you have to learn really as you go.
Interesting. So that actually brings me to a point I wanted to ask you about. What does it take for you specifically when it comes to either, personal life or business life? The challenges you encounter, they may knock you down at times, of course, but how do you recover quickly? Because I hear so much in the world of entrepreneurship. You can
Yeah.
fail, but just make sure you fail fast.
Yeah.
Make sure you pick yourself back up fast. Don't stay wallowing, in your
Yeah.
despair. How do you
That
do that?
that fail fast mentality is real. Like,
Mm.
even just in general, just accepting the fact that it's probably more roughs than mountains, climbing yourself up as opposed to pulling yourself out. Um, for me, my go to, you're going to laugh,
I probably
is
will.
literally going in the middle of nowhere and sitting down. Like
Hmm.
I love to be outside in nature because and it's hard because it could be anywhere. Not many people know that about me, but I will turn my phone off for an hour or so and just go find a spot. And it brings me such peace, not because of it being nature, but because it's disconnection from my phone or the world.
Yeah.
And in those moments, I sit there and I can really rationalize to myself, like, all right, w- will this matter in 5 years? Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay, if I answer yes or no to that question, then I can really think through my thoughts without getting 40 million phone calls or feeling overwhelmed or whatever. Another thing I do is I literally stand in the hot shower for maybe an hour.
Wow.
Literally, like people will be like, "Don't you get like hot?" And I'm like, "No, I zone out." Like sometimes
Mm.
I really
Kind
need
of like a
that
sauna
time.
almost.
Yeah, like sometimes I really just need that time to regroup. And then I really am great at, I've gotten better at writing things down. I am a big advocate for therapy. I've gone through a lot in my life and I'm not the best at always making it to a therapist, but if and when I do find that time in the next coming months, I want to be able to share what I'm thinking. So I always try to write things down as they're upsetting me. And the next day, I usually come back to it and read it again and see if I'm still upset about it. And sometimes I laugh. I'm like, why was I mad about that? Because you just get through it and you realize how ridiculous you sound sometimes. But those are really my top three mechanisms based off where I can get to and when. and if I can, but they've really helped me just further strengthen my mind because that's truly your greatest muscle. Like you can really accomplish anything from a mental strength standpoint. So that's really what works for me, but it does change. It's a constant work in progress. It just depends on where I'm at and where I can get some alone time to just really just regroup.
I think that's a great gem. And I think what each of those represent is just, I think it's being honest with what you need in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a lot of people and for myself as well, like that idea of disconnection is a huge one because it feels like in some sense we're all connected all the time. So
Yeah.
it's just nice to get away from that for a little bit and be alone.
Yeah. And you know what? You also have, and I don't know if this is this way for everybody, but I've
Mm.
realized my relationships that are around me, like friends, there's certain people I'll go to that I don't talk to in a couple months, and I'll just text them and be like, I really just don't feel loved right now.
Mm.
And just knowing that when they respond, it's just like one message I needed to read, like, I'm like, I'm good now. Like, because you realize those people in your circle are really the only people's opinions that you care about, and that
And they
matters.
know you so well.
And they know me. So it's like
Yeah.
you realize like who those people are as you go through this process. It's not something that you just discover as you go through. You find them. It comes pretty relevant when you're struggling. Who's there for you, and people you thought would be there for you aren't most of the time. And that can be a rude awakening for some people who put all their eggs in one basket, or really had a friend for however many years and think they ride for them. It's not always true. I always say when tough times happen, who's hopping on a flight without asking you to pay for the bill? That's really,
That second part's a key.
yeah, without paying for the bill. A lot of people will hop on the flight, but not a lot of people will take the ding to their credit card for you.